Yes. So yes, we're going to talk about time, how to tell time, how to use a new tense, the past tense, to talk about the past, which is a period of time that has already passed. I'm sure you know what it is. And we're also going to tell you how do you make plans, how you fit into your agenda. So how do you allocate your time? Those will be the main topics of today. As you'll see, first we'll go through the homework again. We do het woord van de week. Then we're going to learn how to tell time, klok kijken. You're going to learn about what the names of the months and seasons are in Dutch, how to make the past tense. Then we'll have a break. We'll have a short thing about filling in an agenda, etc. The sentence of the week and a quiz. We have a quiz again. Before I start, I would like to ask you, only if you're comfortable with it, of course, if you could turn on your camera, maybe. You don't have to if you don't feel like it, but it does make it a bit more interactive for me, which may result in a better class, but I can make no promises. In any case, we will continue to het woord van de week. En het woord van de week deze week is leuk. So, repeat after me. Leuk. Leuk. Yes, very good. Leuk is a leuk woord, which means fun, literally. It's although it can be used to describe a lot more things. So the literal translation is fun. So you can call like this situation een leuk feestje, maybe a fun party, or just anything else you would describe as fun. However, it can also mean nice or just kind of good in general. It's in that way it's very comparable to lekker. Although lekker means more like yeah, nice, comfortable in a way, attractive, delicious, and fun is a bit leuk is a bit more toned down. It's like yeah, it's nice. Yeah, basically. Note the pronunciation. So it's o. We covered it in the first lesson, but it's worth repeating, literally, and also how to do it. So it's pronounced as o. You can kind of mimic this sound if you don't know how to do it, as starting at with an and then going to an u. Leuk. Very leuk woord. All right, that's the woord van de week. Let us go to the exercises. In exercise 1, and this should be, yes, you have to give the plural form of the words between brackets. That is just the exercise. So I would ask you to just do the whole first person to do the sentence until wassen. So do 1 and 2. Let's see. Paul, could you do 1 and 2? Just read the sentence out loud. Paul? All right.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes, hi.
Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. Then I will ask someone else. But thanks for answering. Catherine, could you do 1 and 2?
Ik moet de bedden afhalen, de lakens wassen. Should I keep going?
Yeah, if you want.
The flowers. Butcher this.
Can you try?
So again.
Yeah, pretty good.
And the toilets.
Your sound is a little bit funky.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a sort of high-pitched going through it.
Oh, sorry.
But I don't know if you can fix that on this short notice.
Does it sound any better or not?
No, but you provided the answers, so I'm very thankful for that. So the first couple were correct. Ik moet de bedden afhalen en de lakens wassen. So I have to the beds afhalen is take the bed sheets off. The lakens wassen. Wash the what do you say? Not a bed sheet, but the bed sheet is like the sheets are covering. I don't know. The thing.
Mattress cover?
No, it's like the actual thing that's in your. That is like a blanket. That's the word. Yes. Wash the blankets. And then it is vloer. Indeed, you applied the rule correctly. It ends on ER, so it is likely that it ends on an S. But unfortunately, vloer doesn't end in the syllable ER because OE makes one sound. So it is vloeren. That is difficult to see whether that rule would apply, so I don't fault you for that at all. But just so you know, if it makes one sound, like oe, then you don't apply that rule. De vloeren stofzuigen. Stofzuigen means to vacuum, literally to suck dust. So very straightforward. And de toiletten schoonmaken. Yes, you applied the rule also correctly here, that it's a foreign word, and then you add an S. Unfortunately, this is one of those words that has become so Dutchified as to become just a Dutch word. So it is toiletten, but indeed, you applied the rule correctly. En de toiletten schoonmaken. So I have to get the bed sheets off the beds, wash the blankets, vacuum the floors, and scrub the toilets. Great. Emmanuel, could you do 5 and 6?
Yes. Kun jij dan de boodschaps even doen?
And 6?
Erik, goed. En ik zal ook even de voelingsnis bakken. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry.
Yeah. It's vuilnisbakken. You try that?
Vuilnisbakken, okay.
Yeah, very good. Aan de straat zetten, yes. Very good. You got the second one correct. And the first one, unfortunately, is also with EN. It doesn't apply to any of the rules where you need to do an S. So you just add EN.
Okay.
And the second one you got correct. It's for the same reason. So, en ik zal ook de vuilnisbakken aan de straat zetten. So, can you just do the groceries quickly? And Eric says, yes, good. And I'll also put the trash cans at the street, so they can be picked up. All right, Samantha, could you do 7 and 8?
Ja, Karen moet straks maar even de aardappels en laat Peter de kattenbakken schoonmaken.
Yes, perfect. The first one is actually you have two options. You could say aardappels or aardappelen. Those are both correct. There's one of those words that for which that is the case. Another one is groente, which means vegetable. You could say groentes or groenten to mean multiple vegetables. Yeah, so Karen has to peel the potatoes in a bit and laat Peter de kattenbakken schoonmaken. Very good. And have Peter clean the litter boxes. Yes, that's the word. I will repeat it all at the end. And finally, 5 and 6, 9 and 10, I mean. Anna, could you do those?
Ja, dat heb ik al gedaan, maar hij kan de honden uitlaten. En hij moet ook over de lege flessen naar de glasbak brengen.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, that's correct. Totally right. Dat heb ik al gedaan, maar hij kan de honden uitlaten. So Peter said, yeah, I already did that, cleaning the litter boxes. Maar hij kan de honden uitlaten, but he can walk the dogs. And he also has, en hij moet ook even de lege flessen naar de glasbak brengen. And he also has to bring the empty bottles to the glass recycling bin. Yes, so in one go. Pieter zegt, ik moet de bedden afhalen, de lakens wassen, de vloeren stofzuigen en de toiletten schoonmaken. Kun jij dan de boodschappen even doen? Erik, goed. En ik zal ook even de vuilnisbakken aan de straat zetten. Karin moet straks nog maar even de aardappels schillen. En laat Peter de kattenbakken schoonmaken. Dan zegt Pieter, dat heb ik al gedaan. Maar hij kan de honden uitlaten. En hij moet ook even de lege flessen naar de glasbak brengen. Cool. Good job. Then the other exercise, it's probably a little less difficult. So I will just go through it. So you just have to circle the image that represents the situation correctly. I think it's more useful next time if I change this the other way around. That makes it a bit more difficult. But for now, this is pretty doable. So the stoel staat achter de tafel. So we know that staat refers to things that are only standing. I mean, it means standing. So the stool, this chair, is standing achter, behind the table. So it's that one. This would be de stoel staat naast de tafel. Dit is de stoel staat op de tafel. En dit is de stoel staat voor de tafel. And so here, okay, cool. Question 2. Het mes is tussen de vaas en het boek. So het mes, the knife, is tussen, is in between the vase and the book. So it is this one. This would be het boek is tussen de vaas en het mes. And this would be het mes zit in de vaas die op het boek staat. Complicated. And yeah, you can imagine what this is. De vaas is tussen het boek en de mes. Het boek en het mes. I'm sorry. And finally, de vaas staat op de linkerbovenhoek van de ronde tafel. I thought I fixed this, but there are two of the same image here again. So the vase is standing on the upper left corner of the round table. So that's this one, and also this one. For some reason, I did not get rid of it again. But that makes it even easier to get it. Cool. So this is a round table, rond. And dit is a square table. You would call it a vierkante tafel. So vierkant means square, literally four side. Yeah, vierkante tafel. Cool. So if there's not any questions anymore about lesson 5, then we will move on to lesson 6. The first thing is klok kijken, telling time, or literally clock watching. Yes. So telling time in Dutch can be a bit complicated, but it doesn't have to be per se. Because there is a complicated way to tell time in Dutch, and there's a less complicated way to tell time in Dutch. You do. So do you also have this image in your booklet? Yes, good. Because then the PDF I uploaded to the Teams is outdated because it has the previous image, which is a lot more vague. And so this image is a lot clearer, I think, even though it might not be at the moment. So in Dutch, there are kind of two different ways to indicate the time, and they both concern this lower half. So let's first talk about the upper half. It's kind of easy. What you do is, if someone asks, what time is it? In Dutch it is, hoe laat is het? So hoe laat is het? How late is it, literally? you answer with het is, it is, and then one of these things. So if it is, what is the current time? I can't really tell. Let's say it's 6:15, optimistically. I hope it's that time approximately. So then you would say, het is 6:15. Kind of easy, right? It's 6:15, it is 6:15. Kind of the same. If it is 5 past or 10 past 6, you could say it is 5 over or it is 10:10. If it is 6 o'clock, you would say het is 6 uur. So it is 6 uur. This uur you only add at the top position. Similarly, if it's 5 to 6 or 10 to 6 or 1/4 to 6, you just say 4. 4 means in front of, to. Over means over or past. So the top half of the clock is kind of easy. The bottom half of the clock, there are 2 ways to tell time. One is the easy way, one is the difficult way. Let's go over the easy way first, where you would just say over again. So if it is 6:20, it's 20/6. If it is 6:25, it is 25/6. If it is 6:40 or 20 to 7, you would say it is 20/7. So those are all kind of straightforward. Of note is how we use half in Dutch. If we say het is 6:30, it is 6:30. That means it is 6:30, so it is 6:30. In English, if you say it's like British English, if you say it's 7:30, it means it's 7:30. So it's like the other way around. Although I don't hear a lot of English-speaking people say half something. Usually it's 6:30. But in Dutch, you don't say 6:30, you just say, or 6:30, I mean, you say 6:30. So that's pretty straightforward. The less straightforward part is what I would not recommend you say, because while I thought it was the technically correct way, but it is just as correct as saying it how I just told you, saying 20 past, is instead of saying het is 20/6 for 6:20, you would say het is 6:50. So it is 10 to 6:30, which is kind of complicated, as you might notice. But this is a very common way Dutch people tell time. And it is, I guess, important to know that they do that, because when you hear it, then you won't be utterly confused. But I wouldn't per se recommend you tell time yourself like that, because I think it is, like from my personal opinion, I think it's a weird way to tell time, and we should stop doing it. But unfortunately, I cannot change Dutch culture that easily, so you'll just have to know the common way to tell time. So indeed, you tell the time relative to the half hour. So if it is 6:40, you would not say 20/7, but you would say 10:30. So it's 10 past 6:30. Yes. And same for 5 past 6:30 or 5 to 6:30. Yes. So just so you know, Dutch people tell time like that a lot. And if you hear that, maybe you have to do some more mental calculations. But in general, I would recommend just saying, oh yeah, it's 20/7. And that's kind of it. We're going to practice with that now. But if you have any questions, please let me know. Here's some more useful things to know, I guess. We write things in 24-hour format, military time. So we don't say AM or PM, as you probably have surmised from your time staying here. But we do say it like it's 3 o'clock. So we say if it is 15:00, you would say het is 3 uur and not het is 15 uur. I think there are languages which do that. Dutch is not one of them. To specify whether it's AM or PM, you say 's middags or 's avonds if it's PM, so in the afternoon or in the evening, or 's ochtends for like anything between 12 a.m. or I always forget what midnight, between midnight and noon is 's ochtends. So it's all morning, I guess. Oh. And here I already mentioned this. So next thing, how do you ask time? You just say, hoe laat is het? And then the person answer with, het is. If you want to be very polite, you could ask, heeft u de tijd? Do you have the time? And then someone will pull out their old-timey watch and tell you, oh, yes, it is 10 past noon. Yeah, okay, I guess that's it. Are there any questions? No? All right, perfect. Then, if you would, please do exercise 1 in your booklet. You just have a bunch of clocks and you have to fill in the correct time. Pretty straightforward. And then we'll re-evaluate in a bit. I need to tell the time myself. Okay, het is bijna half 7. So I'll give you to 35, 5 over half 7 to do this exercise. If that's not enough time, please let me know. And please, again, let me know in the chat when you're done. And of course, if you have any questions in the meantime, I will be happy to answer them. All right, one person already done. Yeah, you still have some time. Don't hurry yourselves. Right, 3 people done now. You still have time. All right. I feel like many of you are already done. So let us just start with the discussion. Do we have this one by one? Let's see. Okay, so I'll do the first one. So 5:30 in Dutch is 6:30. Hope you got that right. I'll just do the top ones because I think those are less interesting. And then I'll ask you about the other ones. So, 5 o'clock in Dutch, 5 uur. 2:45, 3:15, 11:15, 11:15. All right, then no digital clocks anymore. Aurelia, could you do these two?
Yes. The first one is 8:05.
Yes.
And the second one is 2:15.
Very good. Technically, it's 6:08, but I would round to the nearest 5. Yes, very good. 2:15. Noemi, could you do the next two?
Yeah, so the first one is 11:04.
Perfect.
And the second one is 7/11.
Yes, very good. Okay, and I will just go through the other ones because it's. I hope it's not that difficult. So 1:30 would be 7:29. 2:12 would be 12:02 or 00:02 probably. Could be both. 6:04. So 6 to 4. En 4:30. 4 to half Oh, 4 voor half 3. I'm sorry. 4 to half to 3. Yes. All right. Hope that went well. Now you know how to still time in Dutch. Hey, nice. Okay. It is. Yeah, we have time. Good. Sort of on schedule for a change. Then the months and seasons in Dutch. Very fun to know. Not very difficult. So I will just run through them. Maybe you can repeat after me. It's good to sound out words. We'll make them stick better. So first, Januari, Februari, Maart, April, Mei, Juni, Juli, Augustus, September, Oktober, November, and December. Yeah, very good. So pretty similar to English and most other languages. So not very difficult. Of note, I guess, is the us after August, and how June and July are a bit different, but otherwise it's very similar. The seasons in Dutch, also fun to know. It's currently herfst, so it's currently autumn or fall, whatever. Then it will be winter. Then it will be spring, lente. I think is a really nice word, spring. Comes, I guess, from Lent, the Christian thing. And summer is zomer. Which unfortunately it is not. All right, now you know the names of the seasons. Let us move on to the past tense, because that's, I guess, the most complicated thing we have on the menu today. So the past tense, you use it in two kinds of. There are two kinds of past tense words you need to learn. First one is easy, the regular, or in Dutch we call them the weak verbs, because they just meekly follow the rule that I will explain in a bit. And then we have the irregular or strong verbs. Strong because they fight against the constraints of this rule. Unfortunately, there's probably more strong verbs than weak verbs. I don't really know the split, maybe 50-50. Just like in English, there's a lot of irregular verbs in the past tense. And unfortunately, you will just have to learn them. The only solace I can offer is that most verbs that are irregular in English are also irregular in Dutch. But unfortunately, that doesn't tell you anything about what it looks like. There are some rules, sort of, about how to get from the present tense to the past tense if it is irregular. But there are at least like 12 cases, so I will spare you those details. If you really want, I could send you them, and then you can look at them. But in general, you just need to learn them. And after a while, you'll start to see the pattern. That's also how I learned how to do English past tenses, by just learning them. Or even better, by a lot of, what's the word? Exposure, of course, to the Dutch language. Because then you'll just pick them up naturally. I guess it is worth mentioning when to use it. It is in your booklet, but not on the slides, unfortunately. So there are 3 cases when you use the past tense. Of course, when you're talking about the past. But there's also different tenses to talk about the past, right? Like the present perfect, which unfortunately we don't cover in this course. We do it in the advanced course. So sign up for that next semester. But you use the past tense if you refer to events that took place in the past and they aren't relevant for the present moment. So if you say, oh yeah, I did the groceries yesterday, ik deed gisteren boodschappen, it implies that it doesn't have any effect on, I don't know, whatever you're doing today. The second case is if you describe a certain period of time. For instance, World War II was between 1939 and 1945. De Tweede Wereldoorlog was tussen 1939 en 1945. Then you use the past tense. Or if you're describing a past action or event that has the word toen in it. Toen means when or then, sort of. And you always have a past tense there. For this course, it doesn't really matter because every event in the past, we will just use the past simple for. But just so you know, these are the actual cases. But that doesn't matter. We first need to know how do we make it. For regular verbs, there is a rule. And it's, if you know it, it's sort of not complicated, but at first it is a bit weird. So how you do it is if you have the infinitive of a word, you take off the en, you form the crude stem, as we called it in lesson 3. Then you look at the last letter of that word. And if that last letter which is a constant, probably, hopefully, otherwise something went wrong. If that letter is one of the consonants in the phrase sexy soft ketchup, then to form the past tense, you take the stem, so not the crude stem, but the stem, and you add te or ten. So te for the singulars and ten for the plurals. We'll see examples of this in a bit. If it is not in sexy soft ketchup, then you add de or den. So, an example, the verb werken, always our favorite example verb. We chop off en, it becomes werk. The last letter, k, it is in sexy soft ketchup, so the past tense is werkte or werkten. Nice. Then another verb, reizen, or the difficult example verb. Chop off en, reis. The last letter is z. Z is not in sexy soft ketchup, unless you pronounce it really weirdly. So we add de to the stem, not to the, what do we have here, reis. And we know we go to the stem from the crude stem by applying the spelling rules. And the spelling rules say no z at the end of the word. That sucks. So we make it an s. Reisde, reisden. There is actually reasoning behind the choice of sexy soft ketchup, or at least why all these consonants make the cut and the other ones don't. That is because all the consonants in sexy soft ketchup are unvoiced consonants, meaning that you don't use your voice box when you pronounce them. The easiest example is the S. If you hold your finger here, S, you don't vibrate your voice box, versus the Z, you vibrate your voice box. And in Dutch, we like to pair up unvoiced consonants with unvoiced consonants, and voiced consonants with voiced consonants, because that sounds nicer. So that's why the K goes with the T, because kt is easier than kd. It's a bit awkward to change that. Now, of course, you already immediately see that this does not follow that rule, because we have an S and a D. Sd. And that's because Dutch is weird, and it doesn't like to make sense. It tries to make sense, but then at the last bit, it kind of falls on its face. But at least the intention behind the rule kind of makes sense. So that's why it's sexy soft ketchup and not, I don't know, weird hard lemonade or something. So those are the regular verbs. You can apply that rule to a lot of verbs, but unfortunately I'm saying most, but I don't know the actual distribution of regular versus irregular verbs. I will say a lot of verbs are irregular in the past simple. Here are a few common ones. There's a big list, again, I could send you. But here are some useful ones. Zijn and hebben are, of course, also irregular in the past simple. Zijn is was or waren. So, ik was, ik was, jij was, hij, zij, het was. En wij waren, jullie waren, zij waren. Hebben is had or hadden. Zeggen is zij or zeiden. And so you can get funny sentences like zij zei, she said. Lezen is las of lazen. Geven is gaf or gaven. So here you can see some sort of pattern, right? AZ and AV become AS and AF. So there is some sort of pattern, of course, but it's not easily explained. Drinken becomes dronken. Doen becomes deden or deed. And moeten becomes moesten or moest. Maybe other useful ones. Willen is regular. So ik wil and ik wilde. That makes sense. The other modal verbs. What's the other modal? Zullen becomes zouden. So that's also irregular. And there's one more. Moeten. Oh, maybe gaan is useful. Gaan becomes ging or gingen. I could write that down if you want me to. Gingen with G-I-N-G-E-N. Yes. Okay. Cool. Hope that's somewhat clear. I say, yeah, let's just quickly go through the second. There's not really an exercise. I think I put it as an exercise for you to fill in, but it's not super interesting. But so I will just show it to you. Ta-da! So you can fill it in, and then afterwards we can do oefening grammatica. I forgot to give it a number. Here are some more examples of applying the rule. So rennen, we chop off en. We are left with rennen. N is not a section of ketchup. So we form the stem, ren, and then add a de. So ik rende, jij rende, hij zei het rende. Wij renden, jullie renden, zij renden. Dansen, die S is in sections of ketchup. Danste, 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 dansten, dansten, dansten. Some sort of weird beatbox routine I'm doing here. Lachen, the CH. So that is important to note. It's also in sections of ketchup, even though it's pronounced differently in there because it's an English word, ketchup. But yeah, the CH together count as and that one is in sections of ketchup, but the G isn't, even though they are pronounced usually the same. That's kind of weird. Just roll with it. Don't think too much about it. So lachte, 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 lachten, lachten, lachten. Horen, we chop off en. We have hor, the R, again, not in sections of ketchup. So we form the stem, which is hoor, H-O-O-R. Hoorde, 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 hoorden, hoorden, hoorden. And then this one, plannen, it's kind of weird. We pronounce this plannen, even though it says plannen. So plannen as in to plan something. Again, like a word we stole from English and then conjugated ourselves. The N, not in sections of ketchup. So we get plende, 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 and plenden, plenden, plenden. Okay, then it is time. Okay, let me skip. Okay, don't look. Cool. So, in the break or after break, if you really need to take a break, it's understandable. I would like you to fill out a survey we made. It's not super long. It's just to kind of check up how things are going. How do you think the class is? What do you think could be better? Etc. Etc. Which really, really helped me. So please fill it in. You can be as verbose as you want in your feedback. More verbose, the more verbose, of course, the better for me. But you don't have to write an essay. Unfortunately, I don't want to force you to do that. So I put the link in the chat. I hope that goes to the correct. Yeah, that goes to the correct thing. We will have a break until 7. Yeah, just until 7. Tot 7 uur. I hope you can fill in the survey in that time. If not, you don't have to, but please fill it out after the class then. Or just fill it out at some point. I can check if you all did it. So otherwise I will just post the survey in the Teams a lot of times until you all do it. All right. See you in 10 minutes. And of course, as always, if you have questions, let me know.